on beds of straw. Part 1. The oldest story. Zorchek came to visit me again today. They knelt by my cot and told me about everything that was happening on the outside, holding my hand and stroking my arm when nobody could see. The ships were being loaded for the journey across the mist, and even though Zorchek claimed they detested the grueling work even more than they hated practicing battle formations, I could hear a tinge of excitement in their low voice. Soon we would be off, they said, but not before I had recovered. They tried to assure me that there was still days left of the preparations, and even then the captains would wait for a good wind. We had spoken about it so many times in our youth, how we would travel across the mist together, how we would roar together when we finally saw the new lands before us, and how we would slay any foe that could be found there, how we would lay the new land beneath us and crush their cities underneath our claws. Before Zorchek left, they even tried to kiss my cheek, but a Pelruff came near and they retreated, mumbling apologies. I've been lying here for 3 days now, and I'm getting stronger. The strange fungi whose spores had grazed my leg had not left a deep wound, but it had started to throb and ache even before me and my war party had been able to reach the surface. When I woke up the next morning, my leg had swollen greatly and felt almost like it was humming. I was helped to the Lazar house by Zorchek, where a hunched Pelroff with an evil face had given me a foul-tasting decoction and covered my leg in a mud-like salve. I was told a cot had just been emptied, and when Zorchek laid me down, I thought I could still feel the warmth in the straws. The hunched kin noted down my name and clan on a rough plank and hung it by my feet. 2 times they had returned with more decoction and fresh salve, but mostly, or so it seemed to me, to mark the plank by my feet with another line, 1 each day. The Pelroff stripped away the bandages from my leg and with a careless flourish scraped away the thick salve with their claw. I tried not to wince, but I doubt I succeeded because I could see a mischievous grin light the cold face. You are coming along nicely. Your wound is draining. With what I hoped was stoic candor, I praised their skill and asked if all their patients were doing this well. No, they answered. Many come here and refuse to heal. The burns seem especially difficult. When they saw I didn't understand, they told me how the human insurgents had started using fire bombs on our patrols, and how such wounds often broke the spirits of those hit. I dared to look towards the kin in the bed next to me. Their entire left side had been ravaged by wild flame, leaving the skin cracked and oozing blood and pus. The small plank by their feet had 7 lines. Is there nothing that can be done? Surely someone of your skill can inspire even the most downcast spirit. I've administered decoctions of hellebore and applied salve of zilhar, but it does little good. In the end, it's up to them. Now we both regarded the wheezing kin in the other cot, me with worry and they with detached interest. Vaxagar said, "The 9th night marks the end of mortal cures. Vaxagar himself takes up the scales to weigh the kin's inner strength." I shuddered at the prospect of the trial, but tried to remember the Pelroff's assurance that I was doing well. When I looked back at the hunched kin, they were marking another line on my plank. Now there were 4 lines. The kin in the cot next to mine is named Nerjav, a name they earned while fighting in the north. There is little to do during the long hours between the Pelroff's rounds and Zorchek's visits, so we pass the time by talking and telling stories. Nerjav is older than me and wiser, even though they are not a grayscale yet, and they know many more stories than I do, but often tire quickly. Now we had been quiet for a while, me contemplating the strange ending to Nerjav's latest tale and they resting. I heard them take a loud, ragged breath, and then their deep voice broke the silence.
I won't make it.
Nerjav had barely whispered the words, but at that moment they seemed to echo along the cold stone walls. I turned my head towards their broken form and tried to sound encouraging. You are stronger than you think, and more modest than you should be, Nerjav. You have fought more foes than I've ever even seen, and you have been the Maku to many strong hatchlings. This won't stop you. Their body shook with low laughter, but was interrupted by painful moans as their burned skin cracked by the motion.
And behold everything I have gained from it,
they said bitterly.
No hatchling has come to visit me, and even though I've won many battles, I will still lose this one.
I wish I could have comforted them more, but what could I say? Nerzav's 9th night was close, and with their oozing wounds, the trial would be their death, no matter how great their resolve. When I looked over at them, their eyes were fixed upon the rough stone ceiling, and tears, like those hatchling weep, ran across their cheeks. Thrice they tried to speak, and each time a sob hindered them. Finally, with a voice dripping with scorn, they said,
I've never even had a home.
I protested softly and asked about their Ahevhawk, the Maku of their hatchlings.
They were sent across the sea. I haven't seen them for 3 years.
But then you know what you shall fight for, their safe return and your reunion. 3 things cannot be hidden: smoke, love, and the fire of dragons. With painful slowness, Nerzav turned their blistered snout towards me, grinding their teeth through the pain.
How many have returned?
I started to list the ones from my clan I knew of, but Nerzav's glare stopped me.
Not those you heard of, not the clan leaders and heroes. How many have you spoken to?
Their voice was a low hiss through their bleeding lips. Finally, I answered, None. We lay quiet for a while after that, and when Nerjav started speaking again, they were looking up at the ceiling.
The horde builds nothing, grows nothing, and gives nothing, except death.
Laughter again rocked their once great frame.
A terrible way to make a living, that's what the thornbush said to the shrike.
I wish I could stop them from speaking. What they had said so far was at best only treason, but what came next was blasphemous.
Listen to me, Elata. This is the last story I will tell you. I come from the deep jungles of the north, where the beast has mingled with men and where the ancient ways are not so far away. I know many stories and have told you some of them. Most of them are true, and the others were perhaps true in times everyone has forgotten. This story is one of the oldest stories I know, and it is true. Long ago, my clan lived by the edge of the great jungle, close to the savannas where the Smilodons ride on the backs of bulls. Our life was hard and our cities small, but during the hunt and the harvest, few went hungry. Our greatest enemy was the warriors of the Eastern Empire, who raided us and who tore down our walls no matter how thick we built them. But all was not bad. During the warm summers, my kin rested in our cool houses and wrote songs that were like banks of clouds and carved figures from ivory that were like the sound of the wind in the great trees. There was laughter there, and each Maku knew their egg. But a stranger came into our midst, a small figure who spoke of the great Drakir, the firstborn. They came to the greatest of our stone towns, and there they spoke about how the Eastern Empire could be tamed and how the entire jungles could be made ours. Our people listened, for they were used to good words. But the newcomer had invented a new type of words, bad words, words that twisted reality around them, describing things that were not. When the deceiver was asked how all of these deeds could be accomplished, my people were told to forge a great iron chest with 100 chains around it and 1,000 locks upon it. My people, who trusted the deceiver, let their best smiths and most cunning artificers labor for many years upon this chest, and made it so that once locked, it could never be opened again. When I first heard this story, I thought of the chest as something larger than even the ancient ziggurats. For in a hatchling's mind, all great things must be large. But in reality, it was no larger than that a single kin could carry it. When the chest was forged, it was opened and placed before the deceiver, who now told my people about the price for their great ambition. In order for my clan to grow stronger, to rule over the Eastern Empire, and to master the daughters of the sun, we would have to tear out all those things that held us back. The deceiver opened my people's chests and tore out everything he thought was unnecessary, so that my people would no longer care for the taste of the pale wind, nor write new songs or sing old ones, nor for life or lust, nor know their hatchlings or build homes for them. The deceiver took all these wild things and placed them in the iron chest and swallowed the key. The chest was buried underneath the great stone town. But little did the deceiver know that one of my clan had understood his bad words. This single kin, whose name was Spring Wind, had nicked the edge of the chest so it would not shut completely. From that crack leaked some of the wild things my people had bargained away, and that was fortunate. For otherwise our people would have been unstoppable and lost forever.
Nerezov fell quiet, and for the longest time, all I could hear was their ragged breath. I dared not speak. Their voice had grown weaker the longer they talked, and I feared they were closer to death now than ever before. But in the end, my curiosity got the better of me.
What happened to the chest, Nerezov?
Their breathing grew quiet again, and they cleared their great throat.
It still lies underneath the great stone town, Ilata. But one day a kin will come and strike off the locks, sending all those things we've spoken of flying out, like a swarm of golden bees.
I wanted to ask them more about their strange tale, but the sun was setting, and sleep came quickly.